It's a brand new episode of Poker Time, and your eyes do not deceive you. The Gened one has returned. The Gene Genie.
Denim Jesus has returned for one session only from the East Coast, one of those states that everybody confuses for each other on the East Coast. It's Delaware, New Hampshire, or Maine or something. Who cares? But he's back in Portland playing one session.
Yeah, one session, of course, in this case, will equal 4 episodes of Poker Time. So we're going to see him over the next month or so.
A lot of other regulars here to try to take Batiste money while he's in town. There's Stuart, 3-betting the ace-queen. Marty, who likes to put money in the pot. Let's put it that way.
Yep. Marty and Joseph look like they're going to have a shaved head off.
Shaved head off.
Yeah, it's like a competition.
And how do you win the competition?
You have to shave your head.
They already did.
Yeah, it's a tie.
Okay, cool.
Oh, yeah, people can't tie because people don't tie in things. Anyway, here we go. 3 ways.
Getting contentious already, huh?
Yep.
Good flop for 5s.
Yeah, Joseph is... I would be shocked if Joseph folds to 1 bet here.
I'd be shocked if Stuart checked on this driver board.
Me too.
Batiste is already bored. Look at him.
Stuart does check on this dry board.
All right, Stewie.
He knows that Marty has everything in the world. Well, that's a good card for Stuart's range.
Yeah, that's all over Stuart's range there.
If Marty decides to bet it, but he does not. And now Stuart is going to take his shot. This has got a reasonable chance of getting through.
I don't think Joseph is in a good spot here. This is kind of tough.
Joseph will sometimes, though, station. Though the story Stuart's telling is very plausible. Stuart's repping pretty much ace-king.
And I suppose he could 3-bet king-queen, but you don't really expect that on the first hand of the night as often.
Joseph, though, non-believer, skeptic.
He's like Bill Maher.
This is going to be tough now for Stuart. It looks like Joseph has king-queen suited. Another bet would probably get through.
Yeah, but it's tough to pull the trigger when the king comes and Joseph check calls.
There's pretty much no draws out there either.
You just are hoping Joseph has a hand like 5s, and maybe he'll fold, but a lot of the time Joseph has like king 10 suited, king queen, king jack, hands like that.
Now, sometimes you can get those hands to fold too if you bet again. Sometimes.
Not often.
Joseph, as we see, likes to stick around sometimes, and this is one of those cases. And Stuart is going to lose this one.
It's a nice first pop for Joseph, yep. $410 extra.
Feels good when you make the call on the turn with just 5s and you're right.
You can use that to buy head butter. Is that a thing? Is that a thing that people shave their heads get? They get head butter to rub on their heads?
I mean, can we not do free ads for head butter now? Can we just not do that? Is that possible?
I didn't do a particular brand of head butter. I wasn't like Johnson's head butter.
But there you go. There you go.
Whatever, Mr. Thomas's English muffins.
Oh, they're so good. They are different, by the way, than regular English muffins.
Wow, what an ad. They should absolutely pay you.
They really should.
Hey, look, it's the VIG. He's played before on 1 or 2 sessions. He's got kings. He usually wears a leather hat, but we now have our Mike Postel rules in place,
right.
And hats are not allowed.
Anti-Postel things in effect.
No cell phones, no hats, no smartwatches.
Yep. We've had to up the level of security in the game, since now we're aware that people are cheating. We don't think anyone's cheating on Poker Time based on all the play we've seen.
Yeah.
But still. And here comes the
limp re-raise.
Yeah, the limp re-raise with kings.
And I think this is
so big.
Just going to get through,
So huge.
Peter, who is a new player, by the way, Peter, we have in seat 5 there.
Yeah.
New player, but he has the best hand here. I'm assuming he's not the type of guy who's just going to go nuts with his hand.
I mean, he
bought in for the minimum. Those aren't usually the guys
also,
who go nuts.
He'd be calling a 40% of his stack or putting it in a spot where he's got no full equity with ace-10 of diamonds. Most players aren't going to do that. There are a few, of course, but... And score 1 for Vadim.
The VIG, Jonathan.
Yes. Vadim the VIG.
Peter's got a woodsman's beard right there.
Yeah. Give that guy an axe and a young fairy tale princess to haunt, and everything's great.
Haunt?
Well, I don't know.
What are you?
The huntsman went after her. Not a woodsman, really, a huntsman. Different thing, different occupation.
Your brain operates strangely.
The huntsman was pretty bad.
Look at this.
Wow.
This is not an error of the RFID reader,
No.
I don't think, because it's a different person with the 2 black kings this time. Dan's going to raise him. Marty's going to snap call with king deuce suited because it's Marty.
Marty in trouble. The trouble.
Marty's often in trouble.
Ouch.
I mean, he plays the ranges that get him in trouble.
And the biggest aces now.
I think Digital Dan is the one who's in trouble.
This is a little unfair. He does another big 3-bet. Digital Dan's just got to be sure he's ahead almost always. I mean, you would think that anyway.
And the
Kings,
VIG
but
bought in for only 1,000. It would be reasonable for Dan to get in pre-flop.
now because the VIG does these huge 3-bets like this, it's also reasonable for Dan to call in position here.
Yeah.
You wouldn't expect you to get any like Marty would come along very often.
He's got to hope the VIG flops a set or he flops a set, or else he's going to lose the rest of the VIG stack most of the time.
Almost always.
And he
by the
does
way,
just call.
Dan is happy to have Marty come in with the wide range Marty.
Oh,
will have.
absolutely.
So I really like this call instead of a re-raise here.
I think it's a good play.
We've also seen in the past the VIG sometimes doing big 3-bets with hands like King 6 suited and stuff like that. You don't want to lose them when you've got a hand this strong.
And that's not going to be a flop that Dan's going to get away from.
No way. This is just going to get in, right?
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. Okay, 600.
600.
Over a pot-sized bet. It's not comfortable, but Dan's pretty much just got to put the chips in.
I think so.
Queen got there, 9 got there, but whatever.
Whatever.
Be an absurd fold.
Yep. The VIG could be betting for value here. And you could still be ahead.
All in.
All in.
Call.
Call. All right.
And the inevitable has happened, and Dan knows it already the way he...
Yeah, that call was way too fast. I guess the VIG could have ace queen and just be he is committed.
Well, Dan can hope for a 10 or a jack on the turn.
Yep.
That would be nice.
That would be
little
quite good
added
for him.
equity.
There's
It
a
is
jack.
a jack. Unfortunately for Dan, no hearts in his hand.
Still pretty good.
Nope. That's not a good way to start the session.
Nope.
I mean, if you're the VIG, it is, obviously.
How about back-to-back kings and aces for the VIG?
That's the true run good. You have the kings and you just get it through and you're fine, and then the other guy has kings the next hand and you happen to have aces.
Yep.
Couldn't beat that either.
$8.95.
I know.
Sorry.
It's like he never left.
Man.
Yep.
Only 4 hours, guys. Be all right. 2 big hands in a row.
Adding 1,000.
First one you got
Has no heading 1K.
First one I had your hand.
That's not so bad. Kings and aces.
That's it.
Are you shuffling?
You see that quick split screen? You love that, didn't you, Jonathan?
I always love the split screen, except when it's done unskillfully.
And when would that possibly... Like, that was clearly an example of it, and you still loved it.
I still loved it. No, it was still great. We haven't really got a chance to talk too much about Marty. Marty is the kind of guy who will play a lot of hands and is the dynamic at the table,
I think
pretty much
that's
every table he's at.
already been made clear by the hands he's played so far.
I just want to make sure
Yeah.
everyone, new viewers or people who haven't seen Marty before would know.
This is our first Peter action here. He's going to limp the button, which is not crazy when Marty's entered the pot.
We
with
actually have
Queen
seen
nine.
Peter play before with the ace 10 of diamonds.
Oh, that's true.
Here's Digital Dan with another big hand.
I don't think Marty's going to fold. I think Peter probably should.
Well, you're right about Marty. Got to be right about Peter too, don't you? Yep. He folded so fast.
I mean, the thing is, you could decide to be like, well, Marty's in the pot, and I have position on him. I should call with 100% of my range that I have already entered the pot with.
Except Digital Dan is also in the pot, and he put in a raise. And
That's true.
That's the problem, right? And you have Queen 9 off. Like, there's so many better hands you could have there. The hand pretty much plays itself very easily.
That said, if Marty and Peter were both 3,000 deep, I think what I just said is a viable strategy.
I think you're right. But I think then you're probably going to also pick hands a little more carefully, maybe.
Yeah.
Hands that flop slightly better than Queen 9 off.
Yeah, like
you
Queen
know?
10 off instead.
Yeah. I mean, more suited stuff, more connected stuff. But yeah, I think I agree. The deeper you get, the more you just want to make sure you see flops and pay a lot of money to see a lot of flops and hope to hit a few of them big and get paid big.
Because Marty does not stop.
No. He's like Pop Star, that movie Pop Star.
Yeah. Underrated.
Also like that, yeah, really. Also like that Liam Neeson movie, Nonstop.
Or that Liam Neeson movie, The Commuter.
Also,
or as I like to call them, Liam Neeson on a plane and Liam Neeson on a train.
well, yeah.
Because they're the same movie, except one's on a plane and one's on a train.
I mean, that's like Taken, right? That's Liam Neeson on a Europe.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You put Liam Neeson on a Europe and get him angry, and look what happens.
It's awesome, really. All right. We don't know what Stuart has here.
We know Marty has flopped middle pair, which is usually going to be good here, and he leads right into Stuart.
Interesting. I would think Stuart not folding much of his range here.
I would think if Stuart raises, he has Marty beat because he knows Marty, and he knows Marty is very unlikely to fold.
Yeah.
Pretty safe with your.
I mean, Stuart could have a combo draw.
He
and raise.
does raise.
At worst, Stuart has the nut flush draw or the second nut flush draw here, I think.
Yep. I think Stuart would feel very comfortable raising a hand like 2 10s.
Yep.
Also, maybe even ace 9.
Marty, by the way, with about a 1-to-1 stack to pot ratio, and there's the
Yeah.
king of spades.
Stuart, I think, was trying to get it in.
And it looks like Marty just moves in, and Stuart calls with, wow.
Oh, there it is.
A complete monster.
Yep.
And Marty is nearly dead here. Needs a miracle.
Yep. That's not it.
Not going to happen.
Great turn card for Stuart. Really easy to make that call. Obviously, he was happy to get it in on the flop with that hand. But the turn, I think he might have folded. He would have folded if it was a brick, and Marty just moved in. But that's not what happened.
Strange line from Marty with that hand, especially when the king comes.
He went lead, call, lead, all in, right?
Yep.
Yeah.
And Marty's off to the cage to get some more chips.
Stuart gets to stay in his seat and still get more chips.
That's nice.
Yep.
It's better that way.
It's way better that way.
It says Stuart folded. That's not true. Stuart won the pot.
At least the stats won't be all screwed up in the software now.
Oh, yeah, that's great. I love it when software updates work. Anyway.
When you had to get out, I was like, I thought maybe you were rethinking
Kings
that.
versus aces isn't a bad beat. They find $25 for at. You can't fucking wear it.
No, trust me.
It's brutal.
One big blindfold.
Haven't really got to see any of that Batiste magic yet.
I mean, we know he opens up as the session goes on, though.
Oh, yeah, we
It'll
do.
happen.
Limping again.
Nope. You're wrong.
Calling by raising. That's what he's doing.
Calling by raising. Smart.
You know,
And he's just going to win by doing whatever.
you live by dying, and you call by raising. If you really think about it, it makes sense.
When God chooses a hat.
I choose not to think about it
No.
because I don't want to get into, all the dumb things you could say.
I hope that becomes a thing people say in poker. I'm calling by raising.
Well, then they'll be obligated to call if
I
it's
know.
their action.
Well, if it's their action, it's going to get really weird, yeah.
It's not going to get weird. It's just a call. So
I'm
I'm calling is the first two words.
But they keep talking.
Oh, so you can say, I'm all in, but I'm not all in.
You can say I'm all in it with my spinach, and then you're not obligated.
I'm pretty sure you'd be obligated.
I think if you said it in a particular way, you'd be okay. I'm all in it with my spinach. You're probably okay. Actually, that might be an all-in.
Yeah,
I'm
for
going to
sure.
say that as my next all-in.
Why don't you experiment with that when you're trying not to be all in and see how that goes for you?
I just want to say I'm all in it with my spinach because I think it's funny. I want someone to be like, make a raise and look at me and go into the super tank, make sure I can't read them. I'm just like, I'm all in it with my spinach and put all my chips in.
What would you
That'll be
mean by
great.
that? Your chips or your
It's like when
spinach?
people say all you can eat.
But it's a healthy version.
Exactly. You need your leafy greens, and people are not. People don't care about that enough.
Your gut microbe is just as important for mental health as your brain, Jonathan.
Exactly. Huge flop here for Joseph. Stuart also flops top pair. We might see a little something happen here.
Blind versus blind, I don't imagine this is going to get too big unless, I don't know, Stuart turns another ace and then Joseph rivers a flush.
I mean, if Joseph three barrels and gets there, Stuart might just go call.
it would have been reasonable for Joseph to keep betting
I'm
there.
surprised he didn't bet. I guess because he thinks he's got showdown value.
He's going into bluff catching mode.
Yeah,
and
it's reasonable.
with a big opportunity to improve as well.
The problem, of course, is if he improves to a flush, it's going to be hard to get value.
Well, now he's going to have to pay off probably. He's
think
got
he
a pretty
is.
good kicker with his 8.
Likely paying off. The problem is what's Stuart bluffing with? It's hard to come up with too much. 6-7 wouldn't need to bluff.
No.
I guess it could decide to. It could decide it's not good, but it could be good.
I mean, he could just have a worse 8 and be betting for value.
Very few people can pull off.
It's only $60. I think he really does have to call that.
Yeah. I think if you're going to be in that spot, you have to call with some hands taking that line, and Queen 8 is clearly in there.
You hate that you are blocking some of the flush draws, but what are you going to do?
Yeah.
I mean, you block flush draws. Dikembe Mutombo blocks basketballs. It's just the world.
You just felt like you needed to say something? Like you felt like you hearing yourself talk just now? And
I don't know why you have to be so attacking.
I mean, I have to.
You're so attacking.
I just don't understand what you're trying to do. Like,
It's an irreverent.
Did you have a bad
stream of consciousness kind of?
did you have a bad
thing
dream where everybody ignored you again? And
See, it's like you're so mean all the time. How do the people in your life do it? All right, Batiste still with nothing.
I feel like
Peter's gonna limp the queen six of
all right.
diamonds.
Well, Peter's one of these guys.
Woodsman. This is Woodsman level poker.
I feel like things need to be called out, such as your desire for attention and Peter's limp with queen six.
Okay.
Is Peter?
Peter is
Peter's
gonna call. I like that at least. I don't think you should limp fold queen six for $30 more.
He's in trouble though.
Oh yeah, and he's out of position. But that's why you shouldn't play the queen six like this. And good flop for the vig. Peter does have some chop outs. I guess he's got the running sixes also. If he
Looks
really
like he's
wants
gonna
it.
try to hit a 10 here.
Not crazy. It's only 35.
Yeah.
Of course, he is out of position, and it's gonna be hard to get
And
value
there are
if he were
two
to hit
clubs
it.
on the board.
Yep. Lots of bad things about this hand. Peter checks quickly.
I don't know if the vig should bet this turn. I mean, it's not a great turn card.
It's not a terrible turn card though. I understand that there are a few two pairs that come in, but
I mean, the question is,
not much else.
are you going to keep getting called by worse hands?
I mean, he's trying to charge the draws, right? He barely the
Yeah.
flop bet was so small.
Yeah, I guess it does accomplish that. It's just
There are a bunch of draws out there.
it's a little bit of a bad turn card.
Second pair might also call him again.
Maybe. If it doesn't have anything going with it, it's reasonable to fold that
Yeah.
hand for sure.
Agreed.
Man, I'm thinking that sometimes the camera will fall apart.
All right, let's see if Peter limps the queen four suited
I'm gonna say no.
Some hands to talk about.
because he's snake bit.
He's got standards.
Oh, looks like you were wrong.
Stuff he pulled.
My question is, well, I guess it's whatever. Maybe he's taking a break, but
I
why
get
wouldn't
it.
you just have more bullets in your
No,
pocket if you're gonna
yeah,
play that
that's
style?
I knew where you were going,
Or
and
maybe that's pot control.
He's talking about how Marty apparently had to go get more money rather than just be prepared to
Yeah.
fire again right away. Some of the players show up with like more money like in their pockets ready to go.
Or even more chips sometimes, so they don't
Yeah.
even have to go to the cage.
That's what I meant. I should
Yeah.
have been more clear. Of course, a lot of the players show up with more than one buy-in.
Yeah.
But yeah, they've got like Batista always used to have like a few thousand in black, I think, just in his pockets ready to go because there's a max buy-in in this
Yeah.
game.
I imagine we're looking at a jacket filled with black chips right now.
Yep. And dreams.
Yeah. Denim dreams. It's like where the clouds have kind of like a denim facade. You know what I'm saying?
Nope. No, I do not.
Batiste gets it.
Marchand hasn't scored yet.
There's Ken. We haven't really seen him at all. At least play any hands, but he's sporting that flannel.
Looks like he should give it to Peter. That's like a Peter shirt.
Yeah.
Yep.
Batiste with a hand that's one of his favorite hands, the four deuce.
Him and Digital Dan love playing that hand and love playing it aggressively.
Yep.
Peter defends the king 8 off, as would we, I believe.
Very
I
reasonable.
certainly would.
Against Batiste, you could even raise. You block king. It's good. Batiste flops best here.
He's gonna go for
Protection.
got to be equity protection.
Bet 45.
Can't be value.
Probably going to work. King 8 doesn't have much going on here. You have slight showdown value, but is it really worth it with king 8? Probably not.
Probably not.
A little surprised not to hear more chatter from the players considering the no phones rule. The no phones rule, of course, is an anti-cheating measure, but also means you got to figure out something to do when you're not in the hand. And
We were
might-
also
might think-
just want to encourage a sense of community. We're like, guys, you know what? Put down the phones and talk to each other.
yeah, like there are kids. Hey, there's
Yeah.
Marty. He's back.
No, it's just an anti-cheating thing because of all the Postle and Stones live allegations that seem to be very credible. To
Yeah.
be clear, so it says Batiste folded, but he has not.
Yeah, we just like this game to be above reproach, you know?
Yep,
So-
that's actually one of the reasons why we've never played in the game.
Yep.
Raise 35. Fold. Call.
But having said that, as all the Postle stuff came out, we thought we could do better with our security as well. So we are trying to do so. Here's a slight cooler flop.
I mean, Batiste is
Slight.
going to lose a little bit of money here for sure.
Yep, probably not too much.
I imagine
Two
the
streets.
VIG is just going to check call. The question is, does Batiste bet the turn? How much does the VIG bet on the river? Is the run out good enough to
Yeah.
save Batiste?
Yeah, the run out may save him anyway. A spade will probably just.
Well,
that's
that's going to hurt.
now some money's gonna have to be lost.
Batiste is probably going to bet this.
I think so. There's two spades.
Is there
there's
any
straight draws.
Is there any merit in raising if you're the vig, or do you think it's a pretty clear call?
Bet 85.
I think there is some merit in raising. You can charge the draws more. If Batiste can have worse kings, of course he can have better ones too. And what a saving card.
Batiste is saved, and the vig is just going to try to get value from a queen here. Don't blame him. I don't think the vig ever has queen here, so Batiste can raise pretty freely.
I think it's pretty reasonable to raise. It looks like he is going to.
Raise 475. Call.
And I like the vig just calling there. Batiste is the guy who can have queen.
Also, once you're 3-betting, you're starting to narrow what the continuing range is, where it's usually chops or things that beat you.
Well, queen's the only thing that beats you.
Right, but like you're saying, you're not going to get called. If you re-raise, you're not going to get called by a queen, just a single queen.
Oh, of course
So what's
not.
the point of
Of
raising?
course, yeah.
So if it's just a chop or something that beats you, why would you raise?
Yeah, kind of.
Well, Batiste is saved there.
Yes, he was. That could have been a little bit bloody, but once again, the Gene Genie.
He gets one welcome back to Portland freebie there.
Yep.
Played itself.
You know what Batiste likes to say? He's a genie in a bottle. You got to rub him the right way.
Yeah. If you ever see Batiste in public, go ahead and rub him.
By the way, don't do that. He will probably not like that. Knowing his eyes will get very wide.
Yeah, but he's
And
not. He's not a violent person.
No. He's
He'll
not
just
violent.
look at you.
He
Weird.
just will. He'll judge you silently.
It's worth it. You should rub him.
He'll certainly judge you. But he's probably judging you anyway.
Yeah,
in
he's a very judgmental person.
He's going to yell at us just for saying all this. You realize
That's
that?
good.
You told people to touch me.
I hope he does.
Raise 250.
Looks like the vig has squeezed here. We don't know what he has. I think it's going to get through. Batiste's hand does not play well post flop, even though he's in position.
No. Even suited, I imagine he would just fold this hand.
Suited would be a closer decision, but I agree.
I think for 250, I think it's a pretty easy fold.
You guys won the gamble.
Fold.
And Peter, of course, not going to call either. We'll never know what the vig had, but so far when he's made these big raises, we've seen him with aces and kings, so we don't know.
But in previous sessions, we've seen that he is capable of not having it there.
That's true, but it was a long time ago, too. That was a solid year and a half, 2 years ago we last saw him doing things like that. I've actually heard through the grapevine that some of these moves are tighter than they used to be, and he's not as wild with some of those plays. Now, is that true? I don't know. I have not played with him much, but I have heard that.
Now I want to listen to that song.
Gene Genie?
No, heard it through the grapevine.
Huh.
It's a good song.
Both David Bowie classics.
45.
Yeah, totally.
David Bowie. Oh, look at this. Another little bit of a whoa, and Stuart just calls with the kings.
I kind of like it.
He's +1.
With
That's
under the
why.
gun +1, yeah.
This
Also,
is-
Joseph
this-
opened big. And Peter's got jacks
I mean,
and just calls as well.
I mean, Joseph opened 4.5x. Like, not.
It's bigger than he normally opens.
So what would that matter though when you have kings in this spot? Like,
You're more protected from a lot of players coming in behind.
Barely, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, Marty did call it the 9 deuce.
And he flops top pair with a 9 deuce, so Marty might lose his
Marty's
whole
gonna
stack
end
here.
up. Marty's gonna end up winning this hand for sure, right?
I mean, that's a guarantee. Peter's in some trouble. Marty's in some trouble. Stuart doesn't
Yeah.
love the flop, but he's pretty comfortable. I mean, he's happy there's no ace, obviously.
I mean, right now he thinks it's pretty good, and he's waiting to see if he gets a lot of action or not.
Peter, of course, can't fold. Marty
There's the
is
raise.
raising. Okay, is Marty going to lose his whole stack here?
Yes.
I'm going to go no.
I think.
I don't think
re-raise.
Stuart's going to re-raise though.
I think you should just shut out Peter and re-raise here a lot of
I
the
think
time.
he should. He's going to default a little bit more towards theory and knowing that flop is all over Marty's range, though.
Yeah, Marty could certainly have him, but I would assume I would be paying off. I guess there's some cards that could save Stuart if Marty did have him. If Marty
Stuart-
flopped just straight.
Just calling here. Peter's in a weird spot now. I understand him calling as well.
Yeah,
He's
I think
a little
Peter-
bit under reps.
I think he has to call. Stuart can have a good 9. Stuart can have 2 10s. Stuart can have flush draws. Marty can have anything.
Marty should absolutely be shutting it down at this point. And
So this is a
well,
terrifying
that card's
card.
going to shut it down.
Well, Marty does. I was going to say Marty's the one guy who sometimes will just keep going, as we know. But I don't think anyone can bet here, though, like you're saying.
Peter could bet as a bluff, I guess. And now
Pretty
Stuart
safe card on the
Stuart has the
river.
best 2 pair here.
Marty does not take his shot, and now Stuart's got to start to be feeling pretty good.
I don't know if you should bet, though.
I don't know if he can get action. He can try and get action from Peter's good 9 or so. Peter's going to bet.
Wow.
Peter's sure he's got the best hand here.
Peter could have a 5, I guess. Marty's going to call with a 9.
Is Stuart going to make the overcall? Or is he going to throw it? What a tough spot for Stuart. Yep.
His face says it all.
Wow. I mean, Peter would have had to call the raise with a 5 in his hand, or he would have had to already been ahead of Stuart. Why would Peter check the turn? I guess he could have had like 2 pairs, 7-5 or 9-5.
Marty could have a 5. As played.
Marty is often going to bet the 5 on the river, though.
I mean, there's 4 to a straight. Marty could have a 5.
Stuart's getting, just to point this out, 6-1.
Yeah.
I think he's supposed to call with kings. 6-1 is pretty good. It's hard to come up with that many hands Peter's beating you with or Marty's beating you with. The 6 on the turn does make it weird, though, in that maybe they would have checked some stronger hands there. Like if Marty had a set it, no, I guess Peter could have had a set of 7s and be slow playing it.
It would be strange to not raise that flop with a set of 7s.
True.
And Stuart does make the call. And he's going to win a big pot here.
Yeah.
Kings.
That's Batiste laughing at everybody.
The kilo in the veins.
Residual.
Just calls there, huh?
No, that river action's crazy.
On one level, I get why Peter thought he had the best hand, but it is hard to get action from worse. That said, Marty called right away, so
Yeah.
maybe that was a good bet. It's just he got unlucky that Stuart had such a strong hand.
That could have been a good bet. All we know about Stuart is that he bet the flop. He checked the turn.
Yeah.
Jacks are likely ahead of Stuart's range, and Marty pays off with a lot of stuff.
Stuart did not just bet the flop; he bet the flop and called the raise.
That's true.
That's different.
That's
But
true.
still, you wouldn't think Stuart has queens plus.
Right. You could have a flush draw very easily there.
Yeah. Yeah, I think it's pretty reasonable to call to try and get value from Marty. I'm sorry, to bet on the
Yeah.
river for Peter. First, it looked a little fishy, but I'm kind of down with it.
Here we go. Some Batiste action.
F-O-R-T-Y.
Digital Dan gonna potentially get himself in some trouble here with dominated hearts.
You can have a U in there or not.
Joseph, a little surprising that he folds the ace-8 out of the big blind there.
It sounds like
I guess it's a bit of a trouble hand.
from England, you could have a U
I
in
mean, so are lots of other things these guys play. And ace-8 would have flopped best.
Looks like Batiste is just going to win the pot here. There was a flop. It was Jack-Jack-8.
There it is. Well, close enough. Jack
Yep.
8-9, Jack Jack 8. No one cares. No one needs to know.
I'm pretty sure it actually was Jack-Jack-8.
Yeah, it was. No, it was.
Good
Batiste would have
old-
would have sized that differently on the Jack 8-9-2 club board.
Or not bet.
Sure. Well, that would be sizing it differently.
That would be a different size. Zero is different. But does zero count as a size, man?
Yes.
Does nothingness count as somethingness?
It does.
Are you sure?
Dude, I'm calling to raise.
Okay.
I'm raising the call. And here's Ken.
Nice hand.
Ken might play a hand.
It's a very nice hand.
Ken, previously known as Destroyer of Worlds, now just known as Guy in Flannel Shirt.
Sure. He hasn't had his...
Portrait of Man in Flannel.
He had a streak of many good sessions in a row there, and
He sure did.
came back down to earth over the past couple sessions he's played.
Yep.
All your sound effects over there.
El Digitale with the call. Stuart going to have to call as well with the dominated king. Digital Dan dominating both players. It's got to feel good if you're into that kind of a thing.
And if you know that, and
What a flop.
I mean, sort of.
Sort of. I mean, you know, it's a pair.
Way to oversell it. Vince
It's a
Van
pair and a
Patten.
straight draw for 2 players. And actually pair and straight draw for 3 players except for Stuart, who only has a straight draw. Pretty good. I'm calling a raise, okay?
You're
You should
nailing
see-
it. You're
You
nailing
guys
it.
could see how I was going to call you Dan. How Grant is looking at me right now like I am a crazy fool. But it feels good.
And that's a great card for Ken.
Wow.
It's not the best 2-pair in the world. I like that Ken checks there.
Yeah, me too. Now, it turns out he probably would have gotten called if he bet, but I like the check. Is Digital Dan going to bet?
I mean, he could try to get value from naked ace, but naked ace might just fold. I think a check is probably a better line.
I like a check and try and get 1 street later, yeah. Now you can get called by that ace much more often or a worse 2-pair or something. Time to bet for Ken.
to try to get called by an ace.
He
He checks it.
again. Digital Dan's going to have to bet
Definitely
now, right?
check raising if he gets bet. I mean,
Well, yeah, he definitely should be check
I
raising with
think
the
I think
nuts.
Dan should bet, but it is kind of tough to get called by a worse hand.
Ken will sometimes station, though. And actually, I like a bet here against Ken. Now, I don't like this spot anymore.
That
if
was
I'm
a
Digital
very
Dan.
quick raise from Ken. It feels premeditated because it was.
Now, Dan's got to decide, is Ken raising because I showed weakness on the turn and I'm unlikely to have a straight, or is Ken raising just because he has
I
it?
mean, does Ken ever raise that quick when he's bluffing? It
I
was
don't know.
very quick.
It's been a while. I don't know. It was fast.
Dan should let go here.
I think he should too, but I can see how it's the kind of thing, as we say in the poker biz, crappy.
I mean, he blocks king, queen, and jack, queen, which are two of Ken's most likely queens.
Cool.
Ken didn't bet the flop, making them probably his very most likely queens.
He does call. He just doesn't believe. Ken does do some weird raises sometimes, I will say.
Yeah.
So it's not completely insane to call here.
He probably has the best blockers to queens in the deck.
450 total.
Yeah, probably.
So if you're going to call with something that's not a queen, maybe that's the perfect hand.
Not crazy. I would actually say a hand probably like a set of jacks or set of kings is better. You still block just the same way, but you also
have higher in the distribution.
Yeah, you beat some of the other. Not that he's ever check raised.
He's never check raising anything
So
but a
it's
queen
just
for
a
value.
distribution thing. Actually, you're right. It's all the same. Never mind.
Combinatorially.
How sick though if he turns over ace 10. He's like, I own you.
I am the destroyer of worlds yet again.
Yeah, you check the turn, Bo. I know you don't got it.
Bo? Did you just call him Bo?
Yeah. That's what you
Like-
say after you own someone in poker. You call him
Isn't
Bo.
that like your paramour? That's
What?
your boo.
Yeah. Paramore? Is that
Paramour?
Paramore? It's Paramore, not Paramore.
I didn't say Paramore.
Paramore's like someone who you'd feel dangerous towards,
I didn't-
not in love.
I didn't say that. And it's Paramore for Marty as he limps.
It's more
9-4
peril.
for suited. And Joseph's just going to overlimp here. And Stewart, of course, going to try to isolate with
Joseph-
the ace queen.
Loves doing these calls and like soft, slow plays with reasonable and good hands. Jacks is chief among them.
It
but
feels like the middle pairs are his favorite to do it with. The eights through jacks type hands.
Well, here he is. He's in position. It's
It's a pretty good spot for Joseph.
He actually doesn't have all the equity because of Marty folded a 9, I guess.
Well,
but
that's a good flop for 2 9s, and
Yep.
Joseph will not be folding on this flop. Stewart should be betting on this board. He has
Sure.
way more pocket pairs in his range than Joseph.
Yep. Joseph has a lot of just connected overcards.
Jack 10 type hands.
9, 10. As you said, of course, Joseph will call. Stewart now knows that Joseph's the kind of guy who likes to station him, too. We already saw that with the 5. So my guess is Stewart, although he does pick up some equity here.
Not really, because Joseph has a spade.
No, I see that. But in Stewart's mind,
Yeah. It's
He knows
supposed
it's
to. It's supposed
possible.
to be an okay card for him, but the spades are kind of bad. Joseph
Yeah.
certainly has flush draws in his
he
range.
does. I like the check. Joseph could go either way here pretty reasonably.
Stewart could have an overpair that's better than 9s, but he could also have an overpair that's worse than 9s.
Yep.
He could also have a hand like he has.
Yep, which you want to charge. He could have, I guess if he had a big spade, he'd often continue.
Yeah, if he had the ace of spades, I think he'd
If
continue.
he has ace queen with the queen of spades, though, you wouldn't mind betting now to charge it.
I think he would probably continue with that hand even. And there's the
Super
3.
safe. But Stewart may have to call this now. He's gonna. I doubt he will, but he should
I
consider
mean, what
it.
can he beat if he
Yeah.
like he can't beat anything. Joseph's not betting ace high, and Joseph has some flushes in his range. We know he's tricky. He'll check back sometimes.
It's hard to come up with really anything Joseph can have here that he would have called the flop with, I guess, that you can beat that chooses to bet now.
It's actually a pretty thin value bet if Joseph goes for it here.
Yeah. Stewart could have a hand like
8s or 7s
or 10s or jacks.
which he should call with, and
Yeah. He'd
that
call
means,
with all those.
That means he doesn't have to call with ace queen.
Yep.
He doesn't even have a spade blocker. Maybe if he had the queen of spades and played it this way.
This is a good fold by Stewart.
Yeah.
You can say, "Oh, we chop and this and that," but
I mean,
based on
Joseph,
the way the hand played out, he should be losing almost always.
yeah.
Unless Joseph decided to float the flop, and then that's the one place.
Just over 14K in the pot. The turn is the 4 of diamonds.
Hey, what is that? Speaking of turn, coming around the mountain? Is
Oh.
that the Nitrogen Sports Poker Train?
I think they did buy a train recently.
If you listen, you can hear its very familiar jingle. And choo-choo. Wait, there's the jingle. Nitro, nitro, nitro. Nitro, nitro, nitro.
Wow, that's the weirdest ad ever. All of a sudden. Anyway, Nitrogen Sports Poker Room is, they let us do ads like this.
They do.
Perhaps because they don't listen to them.
Free reign, baby. Nitro, nitro, nitro. Nitro, nitro, nitro.
Peter with 2 7s.
And only 21 blinds. He is not reloaded.
Interesting.
He's
and decides
limping.
to limp. I guess he's limp re-raising.
I mean, if you're in this spot in a cash game and you've let yourself dwindle like this, I think this is definitely a limp shove spot.
Yeah. unless craziness happens in front of you. But we're not going to see that.
Unless Batiste raises.
But that's not craziness. That's just...
Batiste has a hand he likes to raise, but...
He knows Peter's got $200 in front of it, knows this is a bad time to do it.
Miracle check from Batiste.
Peter flops the open ender. Marty's got the overcard in the gutter.
Peter should not fold to any sort of action with this hand
I don't
and
think
his
so.
stack.
There's 35. He might just take it down right here.
No, Marty's in the hand, and he has at least something, so he's not folding.
Yeah. Well, Marty only has 2 outs. That's the good news for Peter.
Well, yeah, I guess that's true. He's got running deuces.
Okay, sure.
88%. King should not be a big part of either player's range too frequently unless they have the king of hearts.
When Peter has 165 back, I'm surprised he checks there.
Another 6. That's kind of a bad card for Peter. Now any flopped pair beats him. And Marty's going to try to rep it. This should probably work.
I mean, he does block all the draws, but it's 90 to win 200. I don't know. It's Marty. It probably should work.
I understand the call because it's Marty, but I mean, a 6 beats you, an 8 beats you, and a 9 beats you. And Marty might bet all of those things.
Yeah, and you block flushes and straight draws. Yeah, you block all the draws.
It's probably one of the worst hands to call with there. Yeah, but it works out.
I think this is one of those. I'm short. I don't care. I'll just rebuy anyway.
Yeah,
like, let's go. I want to win the pot. Either I win the pot or I'll rebuy. So Peter gets a little injection there.
Despite it being one of the worst hands to call with, it might also be profitable against Marty because Marty might have literally every gut shot in the deck that missed.
Yeah. And hearts. Yeah. And all other stuff.
And open enders, by the way.
Yeah.
That missed.
Marty could have bet those on the turn and chose not to. Of course, he didn't bet his gutter either. But I'm saying that would be a reason that I would consider folding. I'd be like, wouldn't he bet his bluffs? Comes down to Batiste v. Peter. We've seen this so many times.
We've seen it once.
Well, this is twice now, right?
Yeah.
So many times, as I was saying.
Batiste has the best hand here with the king high. Peter is not interested in bluffing.
He's got 2 back doors. Not anymore.
Batiste certainly never folding to anything at this point.
Looks like Peter's not taking the bait here.
$10. Nope.
Batiste tried all the different things. Tried checking. Tried min betting. Neither worked. That's all the things.
Huge pot.
Touch the pot.
In 10 seconds. 9.
Check. Ding, ding.
Peter was done with the hand before it started.
Yes, I was absolutely done with the hand.
Fold.
Can you share?
Digital Dan really looks out of place there with hair. Just seems wrong.
Just shave it, Dan.
Just be a man. Shave your freaking head.
Yeah. Like Dwayne "The Rock" Johnson.
Exactly. Like Bruce the Guy Willis. Bruce the...
Not from the first I heard, though. Good hair there.
Sure, but how about 6th Sense?
He wasn't even in that movie. If you think about it.
Dude, don't give it away to everyone. All right, so what do we got here? We got a pair for Peter, a pair for Marty.
Ken's got top.
That's pretty good. Batiste with bottom pair. Stewart with bottom pair.
Batiste with bottom.
The Vig with top pair. Everyone has something. Everyone flopped a pair. That's hard to do.
It's
6
amazing.
ways. Come on, that's pretty incredible. There were 2 jacks, 2 9s, and 2 5s.
I don't hate Ken raising here to isolate.
With this many people, and the bet was so small.
With no flop straights or flushes out there.
Marty is going to give action because that's what he does.
Marty will give you action. That is for sure.
Marty,
he's got the backdoor queen high flush draw and the 9.
But in huge
and,
trouble.
2 pair.
Oh, there it comes in right away.
And luckily for Ken, that's a card that he was looking out for. It's very bad for a lot of reasons.
For sure.
Another really bad card for Ken here.
And
Marty
bad for Marty too,
here.
Marty definitely could have bet that, but I don't know that he gets action
Yeah,
anyway.
I think it's probably wise to check.
Also, clubs come in now that I see that, so it's super bad card. Ken does well not to lose any extra money there. That's what you want to do, right? Put all the money in when you're ahead, check when you're behind, do the Watusi when you're chopping.
What? The what?
The Watusi. It's a dance from the old days.
How old of days?
I'm going to go with like the 50s without really knowing. Digital Dan throwing the party so far. That's just because of that aces versus kings hand, though.
Yep. Will Marty play 10-6 offsuit under the gun? Of course he will.
I'm saying yes. Stuart looks like he's got something to think about.
Well, he's got to think about isolating Marty here, but he's going to limp. I think I really prefer a
Surprising.
raise there. You have a hand that destroys Marty's range, and you can isolate him and not have to play multi-way.
Yeah.
The Vig folds the small blind with a 7-4 off. That's a good enough hand to limp the small blind there in that spot.
I'm surprised he didn't throw in the 5.
Yeah.
Getting 11-1. But trying to stay out of trouble.
Got 3 clubs on the board. Marty's the only one with a club.
Oh, I already messed up.
A
Checks
9
it.
for Digital Dan. Marty with the most equity.
You have hours.
Batiste with an absolute nothing flop for his hand. Same with Peter.
And checks through, and there's another jack. So
That
now
should make
Digital Dan.
Dan should feel good about that card.
Dan should be able to check call here pretty comfortably against Marty. I mean, he could probably do that anyway against Marty, but even more so when that jack comes. Of course, that eliminates a number of Marty's combos that are beating him.
And the
bingo.
club comes. The question is, should Marty bet this for value?
I think because he's Marty, he probably should.
Yeah. And Marty checks it back. And Dan is not having a good session so far.
To be clear, when I say because he's Marty, I mean that his image is wider and looser and crazier. He's got more bluffs. So Dan's going to call him lighter most of the
Wider
time.
and looser and crazier than literally anybody in poker time history, right? Maybe Kevin can challenge him.
I think that's the main one. Blake had moments,
Yeah.
but not as crazy. I would say.
Blake didn't keep it going post-flop as much. Like Blake's
Right.
pre-flop range was I play all hands.
9-4 off. Who will ever forget when he? What did he do? He did it like to Johnny Vibes.
Yeah.
9-4 off against Johnny Vibes pocket tens. I remember that. Classic hand.
I'm a victim too, just like you.
Gotta get Johnny Vibes back on the show.
Can't wait to have 2 flush draws though.
And so it begins.
Here's a Batiste hand.
I mean,
He made
it's-
this one
it's
just
a
for
hand-
him.
It's a hand that most people would open in the hijack.
Yeah, he would opens that in a lot of places though.
Yep, under the gun included probably. The Vig has the diamonds crushed. Digital Dan. Calling out of the small blind with Jack 10 off is something you don't have to do.
Correct. I think that's not recommended. But guess
Flops
what?
best.
It all works out in the end for Digital Dan.
You see the future?
It's a happy ending for Digital Dan. He will win not only this, but all pots.
Well, that could be trouble for Batiste. I mean, he could hit a straight now. He has
Yeah.
a combo draw, but if another diamond comes, it could be a little trouble for him. Dan should probably bet.
Yep.
Batiste could raise, but it's a weird story.
He'd have ace-5.
Yeah.
Ace-5, 5-6 are hands he could, especially ace-5. But he could decide to play it like that.
Yeah, 5-6, you think he would bet the flop with.
Pocket threes.
Pocket threes make a lot of sense, yeah.
That's about it, though. I agree with you. And it seems like he agrees as well that there's just not enough value there, so he's going to call.
The Vig could raise also.
He could, but I like his call more so than I like even Batiste's call, right?
He's getting better odds.
Getting better odds.
Oh, okay. Well, it does pair the board, but still, Batiste is going to... He's set up to lose some money here.
He's going to lose at least one bet, right?
Yeah.
Beyond that, we don't know. Digital Dan knows he can't bet this.
Dan cannot bet when the board pairs and it's a diamond.
It's a hellish card for Dan. Batiste probably should bet here.
Yeah, I agree.
But
Gotta
he
give value.
checks. Obviously, the Vig's going to bet. Is he just going to check call? I guess he is.
I don't think you can raise on this board with the 8 high flush.
Yeah. So, but still, the Vig bet's reasonable size here. More than half the pot.
Dan is considering it. He does block diamonds with his 10 of diamonds. Still, Batiste is behind him and decided to overcall. Batiste could have a 4 here and decide to overcall if the Vig is bluffing.
I don't think Dan should call on this board. I think he could raise as a bluff, maybe. If
He
he's
blocks
doing anything.
full houses and
mean,
diamonds.
I mean, Dan's the one who can have 2 10s more than the other 2 guys based on the way the action went. But
He does
calls. Wow, he just does not.
And now
play the
this
Vig.
is a kind of a weird wonky spot for Batiste here.
I mean, Batiste has got to believe he's almost always being Digital Dan, right? Based on the tank and the way he put it in.
But the Vig could absolutely have exactly what he has.
Of course he could, but
Yeah.
if Digital Dan didn't call, Batiste for sure would have called, right?
Right. The
So I
Vig could
think-
have
I
the
think he
Vig
can
could
call.
have trip force here.
Yep, the Vig could have lots of things. I think you have to call as Batiste. He would have called for sure without Digital Dan, and he's got to be pretty sure he's beating Digital
He's supposed
Dan.
to
It's
call.
all the same.
He's supposed to call. He's supposed to hate it.
Yep.
And that's just life.
Supposed to be like, I'm losing sometimes. You definitely can have me, the Vig. But part of the problem is, there are no flush draws that there's no flushes that Vic can have that are worse than Batiste's hand, which does suck.
Yep.
Like, you have the worst flush here.
Well, 5-7.
You are correct. Sorry. There's one. Wow, he's really going through the ringer here, but I don't see how he doesn't put the chips in. Yeah. He's like, why does this always happen to me?
The Vig's having a nice little session.
There's the look at the face. Take the face in, people. He moved to the East Coast and we lost it, but take it in.
Checking the
I thought we had like 7, 8 of diamonds.
Yeah.
Good thing I had a diamond too.
What? We had a 4, right?
Made it easy for that river to come.
We had a 4, right?
No, he has a diamond.
See, Batiste thought Dan had at least trip 4s.
No, I didn't have a flush.
Oh, yeah.
Oh.
Like, I mean, I don't know. Guess this is the 20 diamond deck.
I've seen 3 flushes before.
1 and a 4.
Fine, Joseph.
See, Batiste was asking to make sure he was at least beating Digital Dan. Make sure that call was okay.
If you have blockers, everything.
It was definitely okay.
I think so too.
Fold.
I don't live that theory.
Right back on the horse.
Raise 40.
This is
Fold.
not as common of an open as the last hand from an earlier position with a worse hand.
Correct, Amundo. Hey, Marty calls with a totally reasonable hand.
A 99th percentile hand for Marty.
Heads up.
The battle of the suited connectors, and
Marty flops open-ended, Batiste flops bottom pair. He's going to bet it. Mostly for protection.
Raise 150.
Marty puts the raise in right away.
Now, did Batiste have a Marty plan, or is he just going to let it go?
He had a Marty plan.
I kind of like it.
Me too. But
It's high variance, and it's scary, and there's not a lot of good cards for you.
exactly, like, you can't really call anymore if Marty fires
Now
again.
Marty could easily have a flush.
Yep. I like that Marty is firing again.
Yeah, you got to rep the other draw if you have one of them.
Yep.
Batiste might have just
He
seen
does
enough
bet
of
small.
Marty and played enough with Marty to be like, well, bottom pair is good enough for
I don't
me.
think it is. It's not.
And he lets it go.
This is the very bottom of Batiste's range at this point, right? Or near the very, very bottom of it, the 5-3.
And Marty shows the bluff just to make sure that he gets rid of that nitty image.
You know, if you can put Batiste on tilt, it's probably a good idea, though.
Oh, yeah. It's a
So-
wonderful idea. I don't think that's going to tilt Batiste too much. He folded bottom pair.
I mean, the hand before probably tilts him more than this one, right?
Yeah, for sure.
Flop it. That was a good flop. Adding 5.
Only.
That's what you do with it.
Okay.
Nitrogen Sports, where dreams take wing. Nitrogen Sports, the orange juice of poker sites.
Nitrogen Sports, call to raise.
Yeah, that one. Nitrogen Sports, 0 is just a concept.
0 is a thing, just as much as other things are things.
Oh, sorry, call. Raise 75.
I heard the concept of 0 was invented in India.
Raise 75. Fold.
I don't know if it's true or not. And I don't know where I heard it.
You don't know if it's true that you heard the concept of 0 was
No, I don't
invented
know
in
if
India?
I don't know if the fact is true.
Call 75.
Anyway, the Battle of the King Tens. Great
Ooh.
flop for Marty.
Marty should win this one.
I don't think Dan's gonna call a c-bet on this board with his hand.
Did Marty bet 100? He
Yeah.
did.
So many hands that I was beating, I'm not beating anymore that are in your range. No thanks. I mean,
Just
sure.
10 of hearts.
That's a good one to show.
You say no thanks, I don't want to see a card.
Did I say that?
You did say that.
Well, you didn't seem to acknowledge the
I
offer.
showed him anyway.
Yeah.
Good for you, Mark. Yeah, I got you.
Dan's been taking it on the chin a little bit in this session so far.
Yep. No doubt about it. But, you know, that's what it is when you're so focused on digital life as
Yeah.
opposed to real life, you know? If you're like living in the online zine world the way he is.
I love the online zine world. Zines are they're an underrated medium.
Oh, yeah. No one talks about them as much as they used to. Let me tell you. And it's weird because I think they're at their height. I think this is the golden age of
Yeah.
online zines especially.
I'm imagining having come from watching.
The Vic limped with queens. I think
Okay.
we should at least point that out.
Yeah, he did. Well, he did that with kings earlier.
Yes,
He's
first
going for the
hand.
limp re-raise.
Yep. Instead, he's just going to probably win a lot because no one has anything. Don't worry, we'll get back to that online zine talk in a second. We'll just watch this hand play out.
I'm talking about analog zines, man, not online zines.
Oh God, those things are for barbarians.
I'm just imagining the perfect '90s scenario. I just finished watching the season 3 finale of Friends. I'm heading to the coffee shop, listening to some Harvey Danger, Flagpole Sitta, looking to see what zines are for free in the coffee shop for me to peruse.
What were your favorite zine topics back in the day?
Blisters.
Mm-hmm. There were a few really good blister zines. Yeah.
Turtles.
Mm-hmm.
And Forgotten Islands.
Forgotten Islands.
Yeah.
That's a tough one to write about. Forgotten Islands. You know.
Yeah. You have to remember them first.
Exactly. And then they're not forgotten anymore.
Yeah.
So. Marty with kings. A lot of big hands here.
It's really paradoxical. And Marty limps. With
so much
kings.
limping with big hands.
Marty should absolutely be raising his big hands with his reputation, by the way.
Betcha. Batista's calling anyway. More money, less guys to beat.
And it's a bit of a scary flop for kings with 3 clubs there. Batiste does flop middle pair, and
Ken flops
top pair.
Ken's definitely calling.
Batiste probably not overcalling once Ken calls.
And indeed, you are correct.
Ken's in a little trouble against Marty here unless the board is favorable.
Oh,
ooh, never mind.
What a turn card for Ken.
He's just going to check. Marty's going to, it looks like he bet some amount.
Yep.
Throws the chips so far out there.
Look how quickly Ken calls. Ken's like, I'm beating a lot of things here at Marte. And that's a 7 of clubs. That should be an action killer.
Like one of the worst cards in the deck for both hands.
It shows kings and will take the loss. Now, by the way, Batiste would have made 2 pair on the river and really might have held on if it was just him and Marty. Had Marty raised pre.
Yeah. I'm sorry. It was selfish of me not to ask you back. What are your 3 favorite zine topics?
Oh, thank you.
Yeah.
I appreciate that. And I was thinking that, but I didn't want to call you out.
I got caught up in the Forgotten Islands one. So
it was pretty cool. I agree. Yeah.
All right.
My 3 favorite zine topics in ascending order.
Okay.
So
third.
3, yeah, third was
like David Letterman style.
Yeah, that's right. That's right. It is the top 10 lessons. Okay.
Drum roll, etc.
Exactly. Minerals.
Excellent.
Yeah.
That was number 4 for me, actually.
Really?
Yeah.
Yeah. My favorite mineral zine was, of course, called Element.
The 96 one called Element or 98?
No, 98.
Okay.
96. That was a piece of crap, and I was glad that.
I know, but it has historical value. Anyway, Marty is going to limp the ace king.
Trying again. No one is raising Marty, though. Everyone's just happy to see a flop with their crappy hands.
And Peter flops a gut shot.
Trips for Batiste.
Batiste flops trips, yeah.
Let's see if Marty is got some entitlement tilt going on with this hand. We don't know yet.
I mean, he could just be protecting.
Right now, he could be betting.
I mean, it's a huge bet, though, 50 into 30.
If he bets again, I'd be worried.
Peter overcalls quickly there.
Well, now I understand that Marty's going to lose some money.
Yeah, it's going to be tough for Marty to not lose a bunch of money here. Batiste could raise easily. He could call. He knows Marty has a lot of bluffs. Looks like he just calls.
Yeah, I think it's trying to keep Peter around, too, but Peter folds quickly and easily. Well, that's a card that actually no one likes.
Terrible card for Batiste.
Wow. Marty let off the hook a little bit. I think Marty is betting if that's a normal, non-scary card there.
Yeah, if the 10 of diamonds comes off, Batiste might get the whole stack.
What is he supposed to have?
I don't know about the whole stack, but I think he's going to get...
I think he's check raising.
Yeah, I think you're right. Marty might bet really big, and Batiste probably check raises anyway. Yeah, maybe you're right. Yeah, you know what? I think you're right. But let's get back to the zine talk.
All right, so number 3 was minerals for you.
Yeah. Number 2 is corners.
Corners.
Yeah.
It's like, okay. Are you talking rounded corners or sharp corners?
Well, I mean, it's neither, but also both. You know what I mean?
I absolutely do.
They covered everything, but they mostly focused on neither the extremes. They were going for more of like a moderate, like more inclusive kind of
I get it.
topic. Those are the ones I like the best anyway.
Super limpy pot here. Super limpy table right now.
Yeah, really. Like everyone's limping huge hands. I don't know why.
Well, this time no huge hands, but still a lot of limps.
It's true.
Including Batiste with 6 deuce
Ken
on the
could have
button.
raised the ace nine of diamonds though.
Digital Dan flops top pair here.
Big flops a flush draw. That's pretty much it. Marty's going to bet his middle pair, nothing else going on.
Ken's going to call with ace 9 high?
Ken is...
What the hell is that? Okay. I need an intervention for Ken after this call. With like 11 people in the pot. What is going on?
Is this a Mike Postle cheating alert? Should we pay attention to this hand? I think we need to pay attention to this hand. If Ken makes 3 godlike plays on this hand and then does it 4 more times later, we have to worry that maybe our security's not good enough. That is a very surprising call.
To be clear, Ken is not cheating.
We do not believe Ken is cheating.
I don't think even Mike Postle would make this call.
Mike Postle does some weird stuff. No, when he knows Digital Dan as the king and the Vig has spades, he would not. By the way, we don't know for sure about anything. We're not making any claims about what.
But we have strong inclinations.
We feel pretty sure, but we're not actually saying for sure that we know what happened with the Mike Postle thing. But we're going to make jokes about it, and that's just how it is.
Digital Dan has raised the King Jack, by the way, which kind of makes sense when Marty bets and Ken calls and the Vig calls.
So here's the Vig, and he
does
going to make the call
relatively quickly, which kind of looks like a flush draw when you do it that quick. Doesn't get there, but he does pick up
some equity.
A jack would be a really bad card for Dan.
Especially the jack of not spades.
Of course, yes.
Super rough card for Dan. Dan, is he going to bet again here?
I think he should. I think the Vig mostly doesn't have better hands than Dan right now as played. He mostly has draws.
The Vig does have some king-queen. That's about it. But Dan does bet. I like the bet, too. If you get raised, you can probably just throw it away.
The Vig is in a weird spot. He has a gut shot that's not really that good of a gut shot. He's got the spades.
Why is it not that good of a gut shot? Dan doesn't have much ace-10.
That's true.
You block ace-10 of spades, so you don't have to worry about it. I think it's a pretty clear call, at least.
Dan does have bigger flush draws.
And the spade comes in.
It's a terrible card for Dan, and I don't know if he'll give any more action.
The Vig just moves in.
Well, that's not going to work. And
there's no way Dan's
don't
calling
think
this.
that's a good idea.
Dan only has 625. The pot is not as big as it looks. The pot it's basically a pot size move in for the Vig.
I guess it's not crazy when Dan's this short.
I agree. It sure looks like the Vig has you, though, right? The Vig looks like he has spades all diggity day long. What else does he have here when he plays like this? And Dan's going to show the king and throw it away. That's right. Good play. Unlucky card for Dan.
Having to make a fold like that is a little bit more painful when you've had a session like Dan has so far, you know?
Yep.
Everything just feels like it's toppling on top of you.
And
Which
also,
is number 5 favorite Zine, toppling on top of you.
Oh, man, yeah. I used to read those all the time. Dan, also, the thing is, like, you're always just worried, like, am I just, like, getting bluffed now? You know, you, like, talk yourself into some weird stuff.
Yeah.
But Dan still made the fold. Some people are going to make that call when things are going bad because they just, like, well, I'm not going to fold this one.
Yeah.
I'm not going to let them bluff me, too. I'm not going to lose because I got bluffed.
Yeah, you ever have that when things are just going really poorly for you in Cash Game or Tournament, you just feel like, is everybody really good and I'm not playing well right now? Like,
they just is the whole table owning me? And the answer is usually not.
No.
Usually not.
Yeah.
Usually you're running into it or things have been unlucky. Once in a while, though, the whole table is owning you.
Hey, Ken's got kings and he's not going to limp him.
Thank you, Ken.
I'm going to guess Marty's not folding.
By the way, we learned that Ken probably wasn't cheating.
Yep. Congratulations, Ken. You're off the hook.
Yep.
For now.
You continue to be a trusted player on Poker Time. Digital Dan sadly folds. Marty calls with the king 5 off because that's what you do.
If you're Marty.
Great spot for Ken.
Terrible spot for Ken.
Ken's going to be unhappy. I expect him just to check here, but he does not. He bets 125 into 165.
Well, that's just going to get through. I guess it just makes it so he doesn't have to make any decisions. Well, never mind.
Look at this. I was going to actually say the one good thing is Marty might call you with a worse hand. Now, I didn't expect him to call you with this hand.
This is a much worse hand. He does have the backdoor.
He has two backdoors.
That's a great card for Ken. He probably
Ken should
feels
check this back.
Pretty safe here.
Ken is betting. He's like, it's Marty. Marty can call me with a 6.
He's betting 400 into 415.
Well,
though.
that's the end. Marty folds quickly.
All right, before the episode ends, the audience needs to know what your number 1 favorite Zine type is.
Yes, thank you. I was worried that we weren't going to get to it. The answer is pixelation.
Of course.
Not pixels, obviously, but pixelation.
I can tell that you haven't. I mean, this isn't meant as an insult because pixelation was my number 1 for a while until I got kind of deeper in the scene.
Uh-huh.
And once you kind of notice the politics involved, especially with those pixelation guys, you start to feel a little dirty about it.
That's weird. You know, I will say it was my favorite, but I did get out of it because I had some college stuff I was getting into at that point.
Right, of course.
Grad school stuff,
Some didgeridoo related activities.
Yeah, so I was in and I was out of it, so I might have missed that, and I appreciate you saying that.
Yeah.
It's going to be weird to look back on some of those because obviously I have them in boxes.
Right.
To read those again with that in mind, maybe, you know. Really
2025 is the year to sell, by the way.
I know that.
Okay.
I keep up on all
right,
that stuff.
good.
Bloomberg, you know.
Yeah. Anyway, this might be the weirdest bit we've ever done. We've done a lot of weird bits.
It's certainly in the top 10.
Marty's got the best hand here with middle pair. Feels like Marty always has middle pair this episode.
Yeah. Marty gets to win this time. We are nearing the end. Any predictions for this last hand, Grant?
Marty will play it. I'm going to say Marty's going to play the hand.
What's the most amount of money someone's going to lose in this hand?
Ooh. Setting a line?
Yeah.
I'm going to say, I think a solid line for a random poker time hand is like $180.
I'll take under that. I would definitely have taken over 100 though. That's for sure. Obviously, I think 150 is probably a pretty solid line. So why don't you just take over 165?
And we're betting a zine.
We're betting all my zines, all the zines in my pocket versus all the zines in your
You know
pocket.
that's not fair to me. I have way better zines than you.
Whatever, man. You said it.
I didn't agree to
You
that.
agreed. So here's Peter with kings.
Oh, okay.
Okay, I think someone's gonna lose more than. Well, we'll see.
Stewart's got to
Wait. Oh, he does raise, but he raises really small, and the big calls with
and Dan
two
has jacks. So
and
yeah,
there
I
Dan
think
goes.
I'm gonna win the zines.
Yeah.
Yeah, well, Devin can hold that note.
605. It's a very reasonable move in spot, especially after the vig calls the 3-bet cold.
Marty should not be considering this with deuces.
Marty folds relatively quickly for Marty.
Right, Grant?
Joseph with the easy fold. I don't think Stewart can
I
call.
think Stewart can fold now. He was gonna have to basically get it in with Peter.
Yes.
Peter, of course, going to put it in. And he's going to be in great shape against Dan. The vig is going to need a real hand to call because of Dan's stack size.
Yeah. It's a lot more to call.
Unless they chop, I've already won the bet.
Like 230 or something.
It's a good thing we didn't say what it was for. The bet.
All the zines in the
You
pot.
said you didn't want to do it. Everyone heard you.
Fine.
Yes. He's thinking about it, but I don't believe. I think this is a whole big Hollywood show.
If he's legit
There
thinking about
it is.
what hand do you
Yeah,
think he
well-
has if he's legit thinking about it?
Oh,
ace-king.
wow.
That's
I can't
actually-
believe he folded.
That's actually
That's
probably a call there.
That's a shocking fold.
Well, it turns out it was right
I'm
this
not running
time.
good either, so I mean.
Wow. I would have certainly called.
Yes, me
By the way, all he had to do is, beat. He can lose to Peter and beat Dan, and he's in fine shape against Peter. Not great, obviously, with two dead kings.
Well, Dan's in
but good
terrible
enough.
shape here.
Yes. Oh!
Never mind. Dan's in great shape.
I take it all back. Dan's got just to dodge the one king. He does.
And on the last hand, Dan found the guy who's running worse than him. Congratulations, Dan.
There's the smile of happiness.
We'll be back next week for more of this session.
See you then.
More zine talk.
Although you could, yeah, take that with you. It's fine.